You know, I play every week. I mean, I'm a fisher. I mean, I'm throwing hooks in the water constantly. That's the only way to make a living at it. And it's a difficult way to make a living because it's a roller coaster. You know, there's no funding that comes on a regular basis. And even when you get projects, they're put behind, they're kept a year behind, you know, and so I hate to say it, but public places, it's an advantage if you're a professor or have a regular income, because then you don't have to rely. But if you're actually a self-employed artist, it's very difficult to make a living in public art.
The title of the piece is called Lotus, and we chose lotus as symbol for this project, since it was for Asian American Center, and lotus is originated from Asia many centuries ago. In Western part of the world, we call it water lilies, but it's a little different than the lotus of Asia.
The idea of lotus is extremely important because the earliest cultures in Asia, they're known as the lotus eaters. And the lotus was used, it could make cloth, it was edible, there's no part of the plant that can't be used. It's an automatic purifying system for water.
If you see the tile work, it's obviously lotus flower in a lotus pad floating in a pond, and there are many lively little insects and turtles and fish, and it's basically a collage of images of insects and little animals. And I've been here, I don't know, 35, 40 years. I came to Austin as a student at UT, and when I came here, there were only we thought it was amazing. There were 500 Korean students at the time at UT. I think there were only 500. And we thought that was a huge number. So now, look at us. There's so many Asians in Austin. I just thought it was really kind of historical moment for Austin to have an Asian American Center, and I wanted to be part of that.
Project had a budget that was a medium size, and for that scale of what we wanted to do, the budget really didn't work. You know, granted, it's quite expensive. So we tried to figure a way, how could we have a great impact working within that budget? And really that's what art in public places is all about. You're given a set parameters, and those parameters are budget, site, stakeholders, the building, the architecture, you know, so all of that is constantly, it's a big chess game to figure out what works best with all those parameters.
Relates more, the concept has more to do with sort of the locale of Austin in general, and this is my, you know, hometown, and I grew up out on Lake Travis, so I was always tripping over the limestone out there on the lake. And I have this connection with these sort of nautical forms, these fossilized forms, probably from my childhood. Kind of fictionalize these fossilized forms that I grew up with, and I mean really there's only one form there that's actually a replica of a nautical, you know, shape, and that's the urchin. Everything else is sort of a, you know, fantasy of a fossil form. I actually had to do a competition, and it's interesting to put yourself out there in that way, and then the dialogue that goes on in terms of, you know, review, I've always found kind of interesting. I mean, it can get a little hair pulling, and, you know, as an artist, you have sort of a path that you're pursuing, you know, your own ambitions, and then you have, well, this is typical, any kind of commission work, then you have the client's expectations. But I've always found that kind of interesting, how those things have to come together. You know.
the one that in the studio that kind of takes on these sort of, you know, bigger projects, or I don't want to say bigger, my husband has big projects, but I'm more interested in civic art. And, you know, and really frankly, it takes a lot of devotion to do civic art. Yeah, I mean, you put a lot of your own time in. You don't get paid very much. And so, you know, we can't both do that. so he goes out and makes some money, and I go out and spend it on art